All right, welcome to another Ageless Energy Show. I am your host, Drew Tadia. I'm excited to dive in. Today, we're going to talk about how to increase your metabolism, specifically for women 40 plus, how to burn body fat, get your body in the fat burning stage. Everything you need to know about metabolism is coming up right now. If you're not sure who I am, my name is Drew Tadia, founder and CEO of True Fun Life. For the past 20 years, we've been helping women 40 plus increase energy, burn body fat, and balance hormones. So if that's you, you're in the right place. Today, this is a good one. This is something I feel like we kind of specialize in. I've been talking about metabolism for a very long time, and it's really the very essence of your well-being when it comes to dropping inches, burning body fat, having your body run at an optimal rate. And that's both internally and physically. So I'm going to dive in and tell you exactly what you need to do. I got 3 tips here for you, and I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. Right now, we are live on our private Facebook group. So you could be watching this now or another platform, the replay. But if you're watching live and if you have questions, I am happy to answer them for you. I'm going to set that up right there, actually. Okay, let's dive in. One of the most apparent things that I see with women in particular is that they don't eat enough. This is probably the first hurdle that we have to overcome when women join us in our Metabolism Accelerator program. And when I say the biggest challenge is it could be 20, 30, 40 years of a mindset that says the less food I eat, the better off I'm going to be. We have to break that mindset and establish new beliefs around food. Because of that mindset, I feel like this whole show could be just on that. Good morning, Moira. Moira says, good morning from the healing room. How did it go, Moira? We are interested to hear. Moira is one of our members. She's a rock star. And many of you probably have seen her incredible results. One of the biggest challenges is to help understand that we need to heal the relationship with food in particular, because we have the mindset of lack and we need to have that mindset of abundance when it comes to nutrition. Many women believe that the less food they eat, the less body fat they'll accumulate, which means less food, less body fat, healthy, slim. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. We have to help people understand that for your body to work efficiently, and when I say efficiently, I just mean optimally overall. When your body is in a fat burning stage, it's working how it's supposed to work. I'm thinking of one of our members right now. She came to us and her hormones are all over the place. Very moody. This is her words. Very moody. Didn't really recognize herself. Hot flashes. Couldn't sleep. Digestive issues. And that state of being as a whole, thinking holistically, that's not a natural state of being. I truly believe our bodies are supposed to perform well, optimally. We should be able to sleep when it's time to sleep, when the sun goes down. Part of our circadian rhythm, we should fall asleep. I believe we should wake up and not feel like a truck hit us in pain and discomfort and miserable. And I believe our digestion should flow properly. We shouldn't have excruciating pain picking something up. Surgeries, diets, even medication. It's become normal, but I don't think it's meant to be. It's the things that we do or don't do to our body that cause those detriments. Like the processed food we consume and staring at technology for hours on end, sitting for 8 hours a day. The way we live is the reason for our outcome because of the world we live in. It's just normal. I have zero judgment. Everyone's in a different position. I'm not saying you shouldn't get surgery. I'm just saying it's so normal in certain age groups. Like 75% of the population is on medication. It's not one medication. I believe that it's because of our lifestyle and the choices that we make, the choices that we don't make. Like I could think of my grandmother, for example. She was in the garden all summer. That's all she did. She was in the garden. She's always moving, bending, and she was fit and healthy. And then If she wasn't in the garden, she was making blankets or baking food, like always moving. We as a generation live a sedentary lifestyle. We in our news feed. Maybe some of you guys don't want to hear this, but we have to make changes in our lifestyle if we want to have a different outcome. Many people follow the standard American diet, no different for Canada. We have a very poor diet and poor habits that lead us to live a sedentary lifestyle, resulting in being overweight and lacking energy. Our metabolism has come to a screeching halt. We can't burn out any body fat. All we do is accumulate year after year. So when it comes to nutrition, we simply don't eat enough food, and it's because we don't have the proper mindset and relationship with food. First of all, we have to heal the relationship with food, and that comes with mindset, helping you understand that food is not the enemy. Food heals, cures, and prevents. We need food coming into our system on a regular basis for our bodies to perform optimally. So when we are not a fan of fasting, when we are, I would consider starving ourselves, you're eating once a day, you're starving yourself. Your body is in a starvation mode, which means it's holding on to all the body fat. A lot of the women that initially come to us, they're eating once, maybe twice a day. And they think they're doing a good thing because of the relationship with food and the mindset of less food equals less body fat. So I shouldn't eat a lot of food because I'll just gain more weight. It doesn't work like that. We have to understand that. And I'm talking about quality food. When I say food, I don't mean food like substances. I wouldn't call McDonald's fries and a burger food. Like, it's not real food. I have a different definition of food, in my opinion. We have to look at food as fuel for our body and then help ourselves understand that we actually need this food to survive. So our body isn't in starvation mode and just trying to survive, hanging on to all that body fat. See, when the ladies come into our program, we start to put them on a meal plan and they start to give their body more food. It's like this giant release. Think of your body as in an intense state that's not naturally flowing. Like, our body was meant to flow and move. We live in this state of fight or flight, and I can't eat this and I can't eat that. Your body is very tense, your overall well-being. So when it comes to food in particular, when our ladies first come into our program, we put them on a meal plan that is more food than they've ever eaten. But it's such an eye-opening experience, and it's one of those things we call a quick win. In a very short amount of time, if they eat the food that we recommend, their body has this giant release of stress. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not starving anymore. And it starts to drop body fat almost instantly. So within a week, sometimes 2 weeks, our ladies are like, oh my gosh. And some of you are here watching, you can certainly attest. Your body is like, oh my gosh, I'm not in starvation mode anymore. And it starts burning fat. And we've had many women come into our program that are like, I think something's wrong with my scale. The numbers are going down rapidly. And we've had ladies actually go to different scales because they literally think there's something wrong with their scale because their scale hasn't moved in years. And I say, there's nothing wrong with your scale. This is how the program works. And the reason behind what's happening is your metabolism is locked. It's been in this impossible state to move. And once we start to unlock those steps to release your metabolism and help it burn body fat, the whole world opens its arms to you. It's like, oh my gosh, for the first time in 30 years, I've dropped a few pounds and I've never done that. And then that's just the beginning. The longer you stick with the program, the longer you continue to eat the foods we're recommending. When I say recommending, I'm not talking about specialty types of foods, just regular food you find at any grocery store. It's just that it's been for so long that you've actually given your body the fuel that it needs, and it releases itself from that high tense state, that fight or flight state, and then it starts to flow and move properly, and then you start to burn body fat. So that's just the very tip of the iceberg, and that's tip number one, is that we have to start eating regularly. What we like to teach is the 30-30-30 method. The first time I heard about it was Tim Ferriss. Gary Breckett talks about it often now, but there's clear research around having 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up. So that'd be the first step. And then you match that with 30 minutes of exercise, which I'm going to explain here in a second. But the sooner that you can get food into your body, the better off that you're going to be, because your body naturally fasted. That's part of the reason why I don't necessarily believe in the conventional fasting or the intermittent fasting, because you don't have to force your body to fast. Your body's already fasting. Like, think of hunters and gatherers. This is how I see it. They weren't trying to starve themselves. They were gathering berries and hunting animals, eating some berries when they were picking them or gathering them, or when they were cooking their meat on an open fire. We have this rigid mindset of structure. I can only eat at this time and I need this many hours in between. That to me is more of a mindset. When we're sleeping, if you're going to bed at 10 o'clock and waking up at 6 o'clock, your body is fasting for that amount of time. In my opinion, that's a very long period of time. You don't have to go above and beyond and be like, once I wake up, I'm not going to be able to eat for this many hours. I just don't personally believe in that. I think our body needs fuel, and we've seen incredible results from our clients and from our lifestyle that way. So as soon as you wake up, as quickly as you can, eat something, and I would suggest 30 grams of protein. The easiest thing for me is to recommend a shake. You can look at bacon. I prefer turkey bacon. You can look at eggs. It's pretty simple. You can look at high protein Greek yogurt. There are a number of things that you can do in the morning to get 30 grams in. It's so simple. You put 30 grams of protein, like 1 scoop of protein and milk, add a scoop of collagen, shake it up, and you put in the fridge. From that morning shake, you can certainly level up. You can put MCT oil in there for brain health. You can put creatine in there to help with pre-workout and cognitive function. You have maca, that's really good for hormone balancing, natural energy boost, great for the libido. That's just the basics. And then you can continue to level up and increase the very first thing you do in the morning. Just think about that. A lot of people either starve themselves, start off with coffee, pastry, donut. First thing they put in their body is carbs, sugar. Think about the difference of waking up with a good quality protein supplement with maybe some other things that will liven you up, mental clarity, give you energy, and get you moving throughout the day, or having nothing in your system, zero energy, slow metabolism, and then trying to get yourself through the day with stimulants, caffeine, sugar, energy drinks, etc. It's a whole different experience. That's what I would recommend starting your day off, but there's many different ways that you can go about that if that's what you choose. Jane jumped in here. Good morning, Mom. Nice to see a handful of you in here joining live. So that's the very start, improving your relationship with food, starting off with getting something in your body first thing in the morning. The next one is resistance training. This is the big one and why it's so different between if I'm talking to men or if I'm talking to women. We exclusively work with women at this point, which doesn't mean some men don't take our supplements. Most women go straight to the cardio section and do very little resistance, or they do zero resistance and 100% cardio, or a very small percentage of resistance. I grew up in the gym atmosphere, and you'd see all the women on the cardio machines and all the men in the weight section with very little in between, maybe a couple guys over here, 1 or 2 women over here. That needs to even out. One of the most important things you can understand is that resistance training burns your metabolism up to 24 hours after you have completed your workout. How incredible is that? It's like an investment in your health. You invest 30 minutes, 40 minutes working out to move your body in a full resistance training way, and your body continues to burn body fat. This is called a high thermic burn. Your body burns thermically inside, internally. It boosts your metabolism. Some of you watching know exactly what's happening or have experienced this once you start to work on your nutrition, and then you start to get into a proper exercise routine, and you start to burn body fat, and you start to drop inches, you have to buy different clothes. Then you have a whole new headache that you should probably enjoy. Because maybe it's the first time in years you have the opportunity to buy new clothes that actually fit. When it comes to resistance training, there's an old school mindset, in my opinion, that you have to work out for an hour, hour and a half. We have actually had ladies come into our program. We do our workouts at 30, 40 minutes. And we have some women that say, this isn't enough. Like, where's the rest of the workout? And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, they're like, well, it's only 30 minutes. And I say, yes, it is. You're welcome, man. And they say, only 30 minutes. They're like, well, I got to do an hour of cardio after. And I'm like, stop the madness. You don't need an hour of cardio. It's the same thing as nutrition, right? For years, women come into our program, they're starving themselves. And I tell them to eat more food, and they're like, nah, I don't really want to eat more food. So I try to work with them and help them improve their relationship, their mindset, the emotions around food. So then we can get them to start eating more food, and then they finally start to burn more body fat. And they're like, oh my gosh, so counterintuitive. It's like this giant mind twist. It's like, more food? I've been starving myself for years. And then I say yes. And how's that worked out for you? Well, I've only gained weight over the years, right? So maybe we got to try something different with nutrition. Same thing with resistance training. You've been doing very little resistance training, maybe very little workouts. And if you are doing workouts, it's all cardio based. So now we flip that around and we say you're doing more resistance training. And then maybe later on in the program, we look at different cardio. But depending on where everyone is at, we have to start with only 3 resistance training, 90 minutes in a week. You guys only need 90 minutes in an entire week. So what does that mean? 30 minutes for 3 workouts in an entire week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 workouts, 30 minutes. That makes 90 minutes in an entire week. Sometimes people say, oh, I didn't have time to work out. And I'm like, how many hours did you have? How many minutes did you have? You're going to tell me you didn't have your priority. How many minutes in a week? 10,080 minutes in a week. So let's see, subtract 90 minutes. So if you were to work out 90 minutes, you'd still have 9,990 minutes to do whatever you wanted. Does that offer any perspective? For those that are like, I don't really have that time. But here's the thing. The thing is that we have the mindset of I have to work out every day. So a lot of people think they have to work out 5-6 times a week. I'm going to tell you why that's not a good thing in a second. And then they think they have to work out for an hour or 2. So they're like, well, I don't have time for an hour and a half workout. And they're like, I don't have time to work out for an hour. Drive 15 minutes to the gym, drive 15 minutes back, get dressed, get changed. It's a 2-hour thing. It's different if you're an athlete. It's different if you're competing for something. It's different if you have that time or that's a hobby. You're like, I want to dedicate 2 hours a day to working out. How many people want to do that? Very small percentage. So we have to understand that there's different ways and options. If you work out at home, you're not driving, waiting for equipment, trying to find a parking spot, sitting in traffic. I highly suggest working out at home. You go to a dedicated area in your house. Eliminate a lot of friction. And then you're doing a 30-minute workout. You're not doing an hour workout. And then you're focusing on resistance training, which is more directed to specifically what you're looking for. I suggest women work towards getting stronger instead of losing weight. As you get stronger, the weight will naturally come off. If you're just focusing on losing weight, you don't naturally get stronger. You start with strength first, getting stronger. As you increase your metabolism, build more muscle, your body gets leaner, the body fat starts to melt off quicker. The more muscle mass you have, the higher your metabolism burns, the less body fat you have. And I'm not talking about big, bulky women. I think that's kind of a thing in the past that women used to come to me and say, I don't want to lift too much because I don't want to get big and bulky. And I'm like, well, that's going to take you 10 years. A bodybuilding diet, a whole lot of supplements, maybe some steroids, and a completely different meal plan. So that's going to be very hard for you to do. Don't worry about it. I feel like that's a bit in the past. I don't really get women coming in saying that. But let me see. There was a comment here. Moira says it's a whole new way of thinking with so many fads, carnivore, paleo, keto, Ozempic, low carbs, pills, and on. It's hard to know. Honestly, I followed Weight Watchers for years. No discussion of exercise, eat 100 points, could be all fries if you want, no learning. I love this program. It worked. 3 easy steps. Oh yeah. And then get disciplined. Yes. Yes. Thanks, Moira. You're awesome. Did I say Tracy's in here? Cheryl's in here. Moira says 10,080 minutes a week. There's more than enough time. When someone says I don't have enough time to work out, they're really saying it's not a priority to me, or it's not important to me. That's just a mindset block. I don't know if that's helpful to anyone watching, but as a coach, when someone says that, I know immediately it's not a priority. Until it becomes a priority, it's really difficult to make changes. I know there's things like kids, activities, your job, endless things you have to do, but your health should be a priority, because if you put your health to the top, then everything else becomes easier. You actually have more time, you have more mobility, you have more energy, you have more emotions to give to your children and your grandkids. Like, it's just a better place to be in if that's what you choose, but you have to choose that. Sometimes people will come to me and hey, I really want to get so-and-so healthy. I'll have to hear this from their spouse, right? Because we work with women. I want to get my husband healthy, but he eats burgers. And I'm like, the best thing you can do is set a good example, even for your kids. You're not going to change your spouse's mind by nagging them. It's probably the worst thing you can do. Same thing with your kids. Like, if you want to help your kids, you set an example and you exercise first. I had a friend that was like, oh, my so-and-so, they don't eat kids. She's like, oh, she doesn't eat any greens. And I'm like, because I know he's a good friend of mine. I know him from college. Doesn't eat very well. So he says, she won't eat any greens. And I was like, when's the last time you ate greens? He doesn't, right? Same thing I had him May. She's like, hey, can I have a piece? And he's like, she's not going to eat that. Don't waste it. And I'm like, because I'm sitting there eating it. And then I gave it to her and she ate it and she liked it. And I was like, when's the last time you ate the mangoes? It's shocking. So for you to set an example for your spouse, like women, you guys are leaders. Like you lead your family. Women entrepreneurs are savages. I don't think the business world has caught up. So many incredibly successful entrepreneur women, and I've worked with some of them. They have a different energy mindset. They're leaders. They lead big teams and are high up in the world in different ways. In particular, mothers and grandmothers run your families. You are leaders. It's your obligation to set an example, and that starts with your health. I did have one more area that I wanted to touch on. When we work with women, it's increase energy, burn body fat, and balance hormones. That's what we do. It's all based around metabolism, which is why our program is called our Metabolism Accelerator Program. Much of that is based around your hormones. I'll make this quick, I promise. When you look at your hormones, you have to look at your stress levels. Your stress levels linked to so much, including your digestion, for example. A lot of times when people are really stressed out, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel sick to my stomach. That is your hormones acting very differently than they would when you're not stressed out. When you are stressed out, you increase your cortisol levels. When you increase your cortisol levels, you put your body in that fight or flight state, and it won't release any body fat. It accumulates, hangs on, it's protecting itself. Same thing with your metabolism, it's there to protect itself. When you are not eating, your body's in starvation mode, it's protecting itself by holding on to the body fat because it doesn't know when it's going to eat it. It feels like it's starving. When you're in that fight or flight state, because you're so stressed out, your hormones are all out of whack. The reason you're not able to burn body fat is because your body is in defense mode. And we need to change that. We need to adjust that. Different ways to reduce stress in your life. Whether that's deep breathing, meditation, detoxing baths needs to be implemented into your lifestyle so you can start balancing your hormones. Once you start balancing your hormones, we clean up digestion and improve the gut microbiome. We remove acid reflux, and the indigestion. Usually that's when we start to see that belly. Earlier, I talked about what's normal in this life, and the menno belly, even for men, that big pot belly is becoming more normal. That's lifestyle choices you've made, or it doesn't need to be there. We can do things about it. One is reducing stress, in particular, cleaning up your digestion and improving your gut microbiome. And that seemingly natural bloat will start to go away. That's pretty much it. That's the balancing hormones part of it. Things that you can do, like I talked about, shakes from protein, collagen, creatine. Those are all really good choices, including MCT oil. Those at our website, trueformlife.com. Activated charcoal is great for digestion. It's super helpful. It's detoxing, but super helpful to help reduce that menno belly in particular. So there's a lot of things that you can do. You just need to get started. You likely need a community coach or mentor, or plan or program. I've been seeing very few people that could do that on their own. I used to think that it was like athletes, like, oh, athletes are kind of the chosen ones. Very few that can do that kind of thing on their own. But it's not true. They have everything that I'm talking about. They have a community, a team, a coach, a manager. They have a leader, someone directing them with experience, probably been doing it for years, certainly much longer than that player has, for example. They have a coaching plan. We had a year plan, a season plan of what you were hoping for in a step-by-step process, and then a weekly plan of what practice looks like, what games look like. That's how we live our life now that I think about it. We teach the same with our Metabolism Accelerator program. We have our Sunday success system. You have to set your week up in advance, or you'll be behind. When looking at athletes, you set up your season, your week, your game plan. Before the game, you know exactly what you're doing. And in most cases, I see chaos when people come to me and they're like, I don't know what's going on with my life. And I'm like, well, what's happening? They're juggling too many balls. They have 3 businesses, 4 kids, 2 grandkids. What we need to do is come up with a plan to make all that fit into your lifestyle so it actually works for you. And that's really where you get the results you're looking for. Anyways, I promised you, I'm out here in 5 minutes, and it's been 5 minutes. So thanks so much for joining live. Those of you that have, if you watch the replay, we appreciate that as well. Thanks for being part of our insiders. It's been a pleasure working with you. Have a great day, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. If you need any help with anything, I'm only a message away. Bye.